During my healing time near the water, I was having visions of the monstrous life that I'd lived, and I knew that it was time to retire and try to find some type of peace with my spirit. As I mended each wound on my scarred, broken body, my reflection in the water revealed the suffering I had caused so many others. What was done to me on the battlefield didn't come close to the pain I had caused so many others. The young army that we faced had finally set my path in the right direction and knocked some sense into my arrogant head. Upon my return, my #1 soldier was waiting at the castle with open arms, and he could not believe that I had the willpower to survive such an ordeal. I quickly made him the rightful heir to my throne and gave up all that I had conquered, to live my final days in a monastery to seek peace and solitude. While in seclusion, I was able to pray to the spirits that I had wronged in that lifetime, and I could truly feel all of the pain and suffering that I'd caused being washed away, because my prayers were coming straight from the heart of my spirit. It was a feeling of understanding and peace for me to finally meet the voice of my spirit. I know that if I had allowed myself to feel this wonderful side of me sooner, I would never have done such terrible things to my fellow man. In the peace and solitude of the monastery, I learned to meditate and reach out to welcome the voice of my spirit. I was surrounded by a love that had never been present in the world of the ego, and I could see for the first time that I had lived a life of false security and lies. I soon found my new brothers in the monastery to be the opposite of everything I had ever known in that life. The ways of my new life at the monastery were humble and free from the terrors that existed outside the monastery's walls. I was beginning to learn the ways of my spirit to be more powerful than any tool which existed in the illusions of my ego. The new lessons I was learning could not be contained inside the walls of the monastery, and I felt as if I should share these lessons with some of the people I had once ruled. One morning, I decided to take a walk back to the place where I had once ruled. As I approached the doors to the castle, I was greeted by many of my old followers. I was escorted in and reunited with my #1 soldier, who was now the ruler of the land. He was a bit surprised to see me at first, and once he looked in my eyes, he knew that I was a different man. He had adapted to the new ways of the times and took revenge for the slaughter that drove me into seclusion. His forces were now 10 times stronger than when I had left, and the castle showed the true markings of a brilliant tactician. It was obvious that my time had long passed as their leader and prince. I do admit that I felt a lot of pride in the way he had adjusted to the times and maintained the castle's symbol of excellence. That night we had a celebration, which superseded any feast I had ever taken part in. Even though I was no longer the prince and ruler of these people, they still treated me as if I were. It didn't feel the same as it did in the past, and it was no longer my desire to be worshipped and praised by people who were the same as I. It was obvious that I no longer followed the rule and voice of my ego. All of the people in the castle were present with the hopes of just getting a glimpse of me before I headed back. I came to make an offer of oneness, and that is what I would present to the people next. It was the simplest way I knew to let all the people who were always loyal, and even some who were not, feel the true love of my spirit.
Wow, I really enjoyed this video. I can't wait to see what's next.